Picture this. You're 61 years old. You're sitting at your kitchen table with a cup of coffee that's gone cold, staring at a retirement account statement. The number on the page isn't what you thought it would be. You did everything you were supposed to do. You worked hard. You paid your bills. You put a little into your 401k whenever you remembered to. But somehow, retirement doesn't feel close. It feels like a cliff you're about to fall off, blindfolded. If that image makes your stomach tighten a little, you're not alone. Millions of Americans feel exactly that way right now. And here's what I eventually figured out. The people who retire comfortably aren't smarter than everyone else. They just made a handful of specific money moves, usually years before they actually retired. Most people never hear about these moves until it's too late. Today, I'm walking you through 9 of them. Some will surprise you. One of them might make you a little angry once you realize how long you've been missing it. Quick thing before we start. I'm not a financial advisor in a suit telling you to just budget better. I'm someone who spent most of my 30s completely ignoring my retirement accounts. I opened a 401k because HR told me to, picked a random fund, and didn't look at it again for 6 years. When I finally did look, I panicked. Then I got curious. Then I spent way too many nights reading everything I could about how retirement actually works in this country. 401k, Roth IRAs, Social Security, Medicare, all of it. What I found changed how I think about money completely. So this isn't a lecture. Think of it as the conversation I wish someone had had with me 10 years earlier. To make this real, let's follow 2 people. We'll call them Dave and Linda. Both are 45 years old. Both live in the same mid-sized American city. Both make about $70,000 a year. On paper, their lives look almost identical. But by the time they're 65, their retirements will look nothing alike. Dave keeps putting off the retirement stuff. He means to deal with it eventually. Linda made 9 specific decisions over the next 20 years. Small ones, mostly, that quietly changed everything. Think of their financial lives like 2 trees planted in the same yard on the same day. One gets watered consistently. The other gets watered whenever there's time. 20 years later, you wouldn't believe they started in the same soil. Keep that image of the tree in your head. We'll come back to it. Level 1. Stop treating your 401k like an afterthought. Here's something a lot of people don't realize. If your employer offers a 401k match and you're not contributing enough to get the full match, you are turning down free money. Not maybe free money. Guaranteed, immediate, no risk attached free money. Linda contributed enough from day 1 to get a full company match. Dave contributed the bare minimum, thinking he'd increase it later. Later never came. According to Fidelity, the average 401k balance for Americans in their 40s trails well behind what's typically recommended for that age group. That gap doesn't close itself. It closes because someone decided, on purpose, to close it. Mover 1. Check your match today. If you're not getting the full match, that's the first thing to fix, before anything else on this list. Level 2. Understand the difference between a 401k, a traditional IRA, and a Roth IRA. Because this decision compounds for decades, a 401k is through your employer. A traditional IRA and a Roth IRA are accounts you open yourself. The traditional side 401k and traditional IRA gives you a tax break now, but you pay taxes later when you withdraw the money in retirement. The Roth side works the opposite way. You pay taxes now on the money you put in, but qualified withdrawals in retirement are tax-free. Linda split her contributions. She used her 401k for the match, then added a Roth IRA on the side. Dave stuck only with his 401k because it was the one he already had. Here's why that matters. Nobody knows exactly what tax rates will look like in 20 or 30 years. Having money in both types of accounts gives you flexibility later. The ability to pull from whichever account makes the most sense for your tax situation that year. Move 2. If you only have a 401k, consider whether a Roth IRA belongs in your mix too. Level 3. Stop guessing about Social Security and stop assuming it will vanish. A lot of people in their 40s and 50s have convinced themselves Social Security won't exist by the time they retire. That fear keeps people from planning at all, which is almost worse than planning wrong. Social Security isn't disappearing, but depending on how things play out, benefits could be adjusted down the road. The smart move isn't panic. It's treating Social Security as one part of the plan, not the whole plan. Linda checked her Social Security statement every couple of years through her online account, so she knew roughly what to expect. Dave assumed it would probably be fine, and never looked. Move 3. Create an account at SaySoGov, and actually look at your estimated benefit. Knowledge kills anxiety a lot faster than avoidance does. Now let's talk about the number that changes everything: time. Let's go back to Dave and Linda, both 45. Linda starts investing $400 a month at age 45, assuming an average 7% annual return, a reasonable long-term average for a diversified stock portfolio. By age 65, that account has grown to roughly $196,000. Dave waits until 50 to get serious, then invests the same $400 a month. By 65, at the same 7% return, his account has grown to roughly $98,000. Same monthly amount, same return, half the time, half the money. Read that again. 5 years cost Dave nearly $98,000. Not because he invested badly, because he invested late. Now picture that snowball rolling downhill we talked about earlier, except replace snow with money. A snowball that starts rolling at the top of a long hill picks up far more mass than one that starts rolling halfway down, even if both are the exact same size to begin with. Linda's snowball had 20 years of hill. Dave's had 15. Let that sink in. This is the entire argument for why I'll start next year is one of the most expensive sentences in personal finance. Here's what nobody talks about. Most retirement advice assumes you'll have decades to fix your mistakes. But the truth is, your ability to recover from money mistakes shrinks every single year, and it shrinks faster than most people expect. At 30, a bad financial year is a setback. At 55, a bad financial year can reshape your entire retirement timeline. Nobody wants to say this out loud because it sounds harsh, but the uncomfortable truth is, waiting for the right time to get serious about retirement is usually just fear wearing a disguise. There is no perfect moment. There's just this year, and next year, and the ones after that, each one a little less forgiving than the last. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to be the push a lot of people need. So, with all of this in mind, how do you actually survive this phase, especially if you feel like we're starting behind? I think the honest answer is this. You stop comparing your timeline to someone else's, and you start focusing only on the next right move. A few things that genuinely help. First, automate whatever you can. Decisions you don't have to make every month are decisions you can't talk yourself out of. Second, increase your contribution rate a little every time you get a raise, before that extra money finds a new spending habit to attach itself to. Third, give yourself permission to start small. A tree planted late still grows. It just needs to go in the ground now instead of next spring. The goal isn't perfection. It's momentum. If you're in your 30s or early 40s, your biggest advantage is time, and you probably don't feel it yet. One action step. Increase your 401 contribution by just 1% this month. One mindset shift. Small amounts invested now will do more work than large amounts invested later. If you're in your 50s, you still have a meaningful runway, often 10 to 15 working years left. One action step. Max out any catch-up contributions you're eligible for in your 401k and IRA. One mindset shift. This is the decade for focus, not panic. If you're in your 60s or a late starter, you have more options than you think, including working a few extra years, which has an outsized effect on both your savings and your Social Security benefit. One action step. Talk to Social Security about how delaying your claim, even a couple of years, changes your monthly benefit. One mindset shift behind is a comparison to someone else's timeline, not a verdict on yours. At the end of the day, retirement isn't really about a magic number in an account. It's about building a life where money stops being the loudest voice in the room. Dave and Linda both started in the same soil on the same day. The difference, 20 years later, wasn't luck. It was a handful of small, consistent decisions made a little earlier than felt necessary. You can't get back the years that have already passed, but every year still in front of you is still soil that can grow something if you're willing to plant now instead of waiting for spring. If any of these 9 moves felt like they applied to you, it might be worth sitting down this week, just for 20 minutes, and checking where you actually stand. And if you want more breakdowns like this one, stick around. There's a lot more worth figuring out together.